as opposed to just keep going all the
Just
way.
need a longer snorkel.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for coming out. It is 6:32 on March the 8th, and I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Master Plan Steering Committee for Hamilton. Since we do have some folks online, why don't we do a roll call? Starting over there with Jack, if you don't mind, then we'll work our way around.
Here.
Marnie Crouch here.
Dana Alera here.
Bill Wilson here.
Ted Ackworth here.
Greg Keller here.
Staff here.
You're here.
Come on.
The glue. Okay, I guess that's it. So just first, a couple quick announcements. We do have a couple meetings coming up. Patrick had spoken with the Wenham Master Plan Steering Committee. So we have a meeting on Monday with Kristen and I, with the chair and the vice chair, I believe, for Wenham. So we'll see what that's about. It's good that we're going to coordinate and collaborate, and we'll get back to this group, after that meeting. In addition to that, the chair of the Environmental Impact Committee reached out to me. You may have noticed a few of them were at our visioning session in February, but they're really interested in understand how they as well can collaborate with us and make sure we bake into the master plan, some of the work that they're doing to become carbon neutral by 2040, I think is their mission. So there's a lot of stuff the town's already done. There's a lot of work they're doing. We'll probably invite them either in with us or Patrick, I don't know if there are other meetings with some other folks already planned for that, or we put a liaison to the team or something like that. But I think it's important we give them an opportunity and kind of coordinate what they're doing into our master plan. So that's all I had. I think first up on the agenda is a review of our February 4th community meeting. So is that something, first of all, thank you, everybody, consultants, Carly and Tyler and Judy and everyone. Great job, everybody here who participated and worked the small groups and as a host and participated and got food and everything else. I think it went great. It was a freezing day, as you remember. I was surprised, actually, by the turnout and pleased. So I'm anxious to kind of get everyone's feedback. So I don't know who's going to lead us in this or how we want to proceed.
Hi there, Mr. Chair. It's Tyler Marin here from Barrett Planning Group. A couple things. First of all, while you were making your announcements, I saw that Rosie joined us online. Just make a note of that for the record. She's waving, although I don't think that's visible on the main
Yeah,
screen.
I see her.
Whatever. She's here.
It is. We can see Rosie. Yep.
Hi, Rosie.
Hello. Can everybody hear me? There we go. Okay.
Whose iPad 2? Is that a member as well, or is that someone's iPad? Okay, let's proceed.
Okay. So yeah, we have a handful of collected topics. It's been a while since we met with you as a committee, so a lot of smaller things have piled up. I do have a slideshow, not very content heavy, but just sort of as a discussion guide. And Judy, I have Carly with me here, who you all know and love. And Judy is not able to join us tonight. She's traveling up to New Hampshire for a project up there. That woman never sleeps. So it's me and Carly today. We have a few different items to go over. I will now bring up my slides and we can go through them one by one. I think.
Bill, I'm sorry, this is Dana. Is there can we make it a little louder?
Yeah, Bill, is there a way to get the volume up? It is a little light on the volume.
I'll try to talk louder too.
No, you're actually nice. You're actually nice and clear.
Could you
It just
poke your head
needs
in
to
there
be a
and maybe
little
see
bit
if
louder.
they could? Thanks. No, I think you're doing well, Tyler. I think it's technology here.
Yeah, no, it's not you.
All right, well, I'll do what I can. And I'll pause for a minute as someone tries to sort that out. Let me bring up the slides.
She says she thinks the volume control is on the smart board.
Okay, I'll be okay.
It is light.
Oh, there it is.
All right, so I'll.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, testing. Oh, and I see we have Kristen Kastner coming into the room, so let me just admit her.
Where's the smart board?
Is the speaker, the note on the bottom right, is that, Tyler, is that your PC that says the speaker's on the low volume, or is that?
No.
Pat?
I do not see that.
It's over on the right, on the bottom.
Yeah, it's on your,
It's,
I do not see that. Okay.
it's on the wall.
trackpad.
It gives us distortion.
Oh, actually, I think, let me go into my
I'm
Zoom
gonna be
settings and
okay
see
if
if I
everybody
can
else can hear
boost
it.
the volume of my microphone. That might help you. Let me see.
Or your iPad too at this point.
Okay, output volume is on. Okay.
If, can you
I've
take
just
up the
raised the
mic-
output volume. Is that noticeable?
No,
Yeah, maybe somebody else on remote say something, just so we rule out the one.
Testing. Is it the system or Tyler?
You all just got a lot louder from
the
my
system.
perspective.
System volume.
yeah,
On the wall, that little remote, is that the?
that is the smart remote, but
Yeah.
I don't know if it has volume on it. Oh,
There you go.
oh, say something now.
How about now?
Hello, testing.
We'll go.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we're good.
All right. I'll try to speak loudly and clearly. And Kristen Kastner is now with us remotely. So there's four main things we want to cover. First off, Mr. Chair, as you noted, we just want to take a quick look back at our last community meeting. I want to update you on what we've been doing with these small group discussions this week, talk about where those existing conditions chapters are at, and discuss some timeline logistics with those, as well as, the last one doesn't feel like that long ago, but we need to start thinking about our second and final scoped community meeting. So, Carly, I think you're gonna briefly touch on the last community meeting.
Yeah, so hi everyone. It's great to join you virtually and see all of you. I think I recognize voices now, but from the perspective of the people in the room, you look like smaller individuals. So if I don't recognize your voice, I'll ask you to identify yourself. Hopefully you all received our community meeting summary earlier this month. We just wanted to ask for any questions or comments. Congratulations, of course. I believe it was a successful meeting. We got a lot of great feedback and a lot of great key takeaways that we continue to ground truth. But does anyone want to share any reflections or ask any questions, comments about our meeting in February?
I have a little something to add. I thought it was a great meeting. I thought there was a lot of enthusiasm. I did hear from several people who were frustrated and felt it was redundant of the meeting we'd had earlier. And so I just tried to smooth that over by saying there was a lot of upheaval around that first meeting, and we wanted to make sure that what we heard from people was indeed what they were saying to us, and try to encourage them that the next meeting will really be more about looking toward the future. Where do you want to go? So that was my comment, but I thought it was great.
And thank you so much. I know
Thanks.
that was a challenge we were looking forward to, right? Some folks would say that it was similar to the previous meeting. And of course, how could we know? And we tried to make it as different as we possibly could. So any other folks with reflections, questions, comments about our summary or about the meeting itself?
No, I think it's hard to avoid being consistent when it's the same topic to the same audience, right? So I think consistency isn't a bad thing. We're hearing the same messages. I love the exercise of the town tour, pretend your friends coming in town, a lot of common themes there. I wasn't at the first one, so maybe it didn't stand out to me as much, Rosie, as some of the feedback you got, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good exercise.
Yeah.
I did too. I was quite surprised actually, but nonetheless, on we go.
Excellent. Well, we had a great time as our team, so it was really a privilege to be there that day, especially while the sun was out. It was cold, but I enjoyed seeing Hamilton while it was bright and sunny.
Now,
So
did
I'll
you
turn it
stop
back
at
over to
Nick's on the way
Tyler.
home, or
What was that?
did you stop at Nick's roast beef on the way home?
No, we went to the Post.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
They had a nice fire right there going. It was perfect because we
great.
were.
Yeah, they have
gone.
those indoor fire pits were a lifesaver that day.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, great.
Throwing it back to the slideshow. So as hopefully all of you are aware, fine if you're not, I had Patrick the other week send out a bunch of invites to stakeholders based on the local stakeholder list that this committee provided to us for small group, or in some cases one-on-one if nobody else signed up, discussions. The idea with these has been to we had the community meeting, in a group setting. I believe we have some survey results from way back from 2021. Do I have the years right? Whenever the first phase of the plan project was. But interested folks in the community have not had a chance to just sit down with us and tell us directly, what their issues are, what we need to focus on, what we should be looking at going forward. So we sent that to all of you. We sent that, and Patrick was very helpful getting those out, and we encouraged people to sign up, encourage their friends to sign up, and we've had one round of them on Monday. We had four sessions. I think we had some really great conversations. Some of you committee members were there, and we learned a lot of good stuff. So there's more sessions on Thursday and Friday. If any of you committee members want to sign up for a slot, if you haven't already, to talk with us just in a personal capacity outside of your role on this committee, just what you care about, or if you have a friend or someone who may not have signed up yet. We are we're taking sort of last minute signups because there are some slots open tomorrow and Friday. I guess Friday would be preferable, but if tomorrow is what it is, it's fine. We want to talk to people. So that is what we're doing this week. And any questions about that, by the way?
Is Friday the absolute last day that you're doing this?
Those are all the days we had scheduled. I think, let's see, how many slots per day? 3 times 4. I think we wanted to do 45 slots total, 15 per day. We had Monday, and then Thursday, Friday.
I just wanted to say, if I may, because I was lax and hadn't sent it out, and then I had an email back and forth with Tyler, and then I was just shocked. I sent it out to a group, just a group of people that I thought are sort of influential people in town or whatever. And what was interesting was that several of them just immediately did it, signed up, and the rest of them didn't do it at all. So I would say if you haven't done it to the committee, if you haven't done it, just send it out. They'll either do it I was just shocked. They either did it immediately or they didn't do it at all. So I don't think Friday is too late. I think people could easily get the email today, and it's just a Zoom call. So I don't know.
Yeah, if there's someone who really, really wants to talk to us and cannot make this week work, we can try to figure something out. I can't guarantee we'll be able to, but we can at least talk to them. I don't know.
Does everybody have an email they could send out, or do we all have that in our email, Dana, you did, to push out with the time slot and the link?
It came from Patrick, and I actually just wrote my own email so that it sounded like it came from me, but I used Patrick's.
So look for Patrick's email if anyone's interested.
I had submitted a list of 20-something names a few weeks back. Were they contacted or separately, other than me sending out an invite?
I'd have to check. We have the sort of master stakeholder list.
Yep, it was. I added.
That's been worked on. So I can't say off the top of my head whether or not your additions were on there. I hope so. But if you.
But that master stakeholder list did get invites to be on this. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I will go back and check that to make sure. And if we somehow missed those people, I'll, try to get them on board as soon as I can.
That'd be great. When I looked at the master list, I felt that there was an absence of families, just average families, other than people who are on certain formal roles with organizations around the community, and also parents of kids in the schools. I didn't see names that, sort of representative of that group. So those were the 20 or so names that I pulled together and had submitted. to make
Okay.
sure those voices.
I will double check that those people all get invites.
Okay, great.
In the absence of my ability to send out the emails, I do have a list of several people, and I'm not sure that that email got out. Would I be able to send that to you to send out the invites, or do you want us to send them out?
Well, typically, you know, the rule of thumb for things like this is people are more likely to do it if it's from someone they know. You know, nobody knows who I am, but, you know, if, you know, Rosie's asking them, you know, to sign up, talk to the consultants, you know, they'll know that it's not coming out of nowhere. You know, if you are like having trouble like accessing or sending it, you know, we can help. But does that make sense? Are you? Do you have an issue?
Yeah, just sometimes the computer doesn't always work the way you intend for it to, which can be rather frustrating. But I'm going to give it the college try, so no worries.
Okay, if something goes wrong, you know, let us know and we'll try to make it right.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay. Great. So those conversations have been really great so far, and we will make sure that all additional people at least get a chance to sign up. And if there's enough interest, you know, we'll try to accommodate everybody if we can. Okay, back to this. So these small group discussions, we're moving on to talking about the distinct conditions chapters. And those group conversations are a major reason why you don't have them yet. You know, we were trying to get them, you know, done like right around end of February, beginning of March, but when it became clear that we were going to schedule these interviews, we thought, what's the point of scheduling them if we're going to be done writing before we even have them? So we wanted to give ourselves a bit more time to incorporate any findings from these discussions into the chapters. So right now, the plan is the interviews probably will all be done this week, you know, not counting any stragglers that may be showing up. And so we'll take next week to make any changes or edits to the chapter drafts we've been working on, and take a little time for, you know, editing, proofreading, you know, consolidating everything into one document, and getting those documents to the committee to look at by March 21st, end of day. So that's the plan right now. We think we can make that work. They're looking pretty good. We're hoping to, you know, it's based on the initial drafts from Weston and Sampson, our own research and data updates, all the staff information gathering we've done, the stuff we heard at the community meetings, and, the small group interviews. So I think those are going to be really good, and we look forward to you seeing them. So given that March 21st date, so we want to figure out a tentative, you know, set of deadlines for those chapters to move forward. So, again, this is, I'm not married to this, so if this sounds unreasonable to you, push back. But giving the committee like a couple full weeks to, you know, digest and give comments on the chapters, and then shooting that back to us, and then we'll have a few more weeks to make your changes. So 2 weeks from March 21st would be April 4th, and then, you know, we'd have until, you know, April 21st to do those changes. So my question to the committee is, does that sound realistic for you, or is that aggressive?
Could be aggressive, but if you can get it done, I like the dates.
Well, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident we can get it to you by that 21st, but is 2 weeks, you know,
Yeah, I
are
think
you
we will
comfortable
once the
reviewing it at
chapters
that
are
time is the question.
Wait, I'm sorry, I didn't, what did you say, Tyler?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is 2 weeks enough time for you to have to look at this document, or do you think you need longer?
So is there an intent to get together once we get the chapters, you know, in between? comments, or are we going to do that individually, or is there a preference amongst the group to talk through?
I would like to talk through them. I think as a group, we can go through them almost like a page turn. So that we're all, instead of them having to collate,
Right.
individual comments. What's your experience, Tyler, with that?
So, okay, so let me show you something else, not the slideshow. We use, and it's possible you used this before, we use the comment resolution matrix system, and we find that works very well. So let me just, forgive me if you're already familiar, but let me just show you an example of this. So each of you would get a sheet. Most of this is just, so we can find the comment, but essentially you put your comment in, what line and page it is. Then you send this to us and all your comments will be in a line here. Then we go through and fill in our response to each comment, whether we accepted it or not, whether we, did something, partially accepted, did something halfway. So at the end of the process, you will have, you turn in your comments to us, then we turn back to you an updated draft based on your comments, but also these documents that show what happened to each comment. And we find that is just super helpful for both you and us to make this go smoothly. So that is what we ask people to do. And
So, is that okay if I just jump? So
absolutely.
the idea then would be, it's similar to what we did previously with the previous consultant. So the idea would be that each one of us is doing this individually.
yes, I mean, if you want to get together and talk, that's fine. Whatever helps you review the document, that's
Can I make a
fine. But
suggestion?
for collecting the comments, it's really helpful for us to just have them written in one place so we don't lose any comments and so we can track them all.
Could I make a suggestion? We use a Google Doc that we share with everyone? Because then everybody can asynchronously or synchronously go in there and comment, and all the comments are recorded and tagged to the person, and then you can reply to any comment you want, and you can accept a comment and incorporate it or not. And it's all right there, visible to everyone.
I think that would work. I don't think we've done it that way. I'm trying to think of any reason that would not work.
So the advantage being that everybody can see everyone's comments and you're not working in isolation?
Partly, but also it's a lot less tedious, to read this document and on your table have to write the page number, the line number, and then the comment, versus just reading a document and you highlight a block of text and write a comment about it in real time.
So we use the comment review matrix in part to make sure that the document doesn't get corrupted in any way, right? So our experience has sometimes been that people can go through and redline the entire thing, and it drums up a little bit more nitpicky feedback rather than content that's really the true conversation we want to have. So I'm in favor of putting it as Google Doc for the comment review matrix. And so you can see different comments from other folks as they collaborate, but maybe not putting up a document that you can highlight your comment unless it's just you only. But I mean, we can push back on that if you would like.
You'd set only so many editors in the Google Doc, and then the rest would be commenters or viewers, and that way you can control who can actually change the document, just the editors. So I would be a commenter, for example.
We all would be. They would be the editor.
Right.
I think, well, so if I'm understanding right, the suggestion, which I misunderstood at first, is that you all leave comment on a copy of the draft itself. Is that what I'm understanding?
I find that to be much easier, much less time spent.
It may be a little easier in the moment, but stuff gets lost. Like, you totally lose the ability to go back and, see what happens with a comment. Like, if you wondered, where did that go? Did it slip through the cracks? With the comment resolution matrix, we can answer that immediately, whereas things just get confusing fast when everyone is just putting stuff directly in a document. I know it is a bit more work in the moment. It can sometimes be a little bit more work for us to actually go through and respond to the comments, but it's really helpful to have at the end of the day, and we found that it works really well, and that's the way we typically prefer to do it. It's fine if you don't agree with that, but that is just what our experience has been. We request that you try it.
Okay. I mean, I can take my copy and comment it and export those as a list as well out of Google Docs. So if you want it in a list format, I can do it that way too.
Sounds great. Go ahead, Tyler.
Jack,
I mean,
something or?
we want to give you a document that you can just like copy and paste, try to make this as easy as possible for you. But, yeah, anyway, thanks. If you have any
what we
issues
did-
with it, we can work through them.
Tyler, what we did last time was do the track changes. And individuals did track changes, and then either for their own consumption and so, or just because it was then in context and everybody sent them in, and frankly, we never got them back. So I don't know how that worked, to tell you the truth.
I don't want to, I don't want to spend a lot of time on what we did before, but I don't even know if anyone here was, it's maybe just Rosie and Jack and me. I don't know if you did.
No, I did every chapter. I did 12 changes, though.
Right, but we were asked to do what they are recommending.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, only Emil and I actually did it. People did on the committee other things like track changes
Let me just explain, though. For the reason for that was some of those chapters, they'd had problems with substance, but also egregious problems with style. So when using the kind of matrix you suggest, if you have multiple grammatical issues, then track changes was better. But if we're actually just commenting on substance, I think your methodology is probably more expeditious. Do you follow me?
Yep.
So
I can. Yeah, so
think
is
so,
that the
too.
ask initially? I mean, that might add time to the process, but if we're just going at substance and comments and then it gets baked in, then we come back around and maybe it's the language, the flow, the grammar, is that a different look where we have an opportunity to affect that as well? Because that would be more of a Google Doc thing, I think.
right, but if looking at the 2004 master plan that Judy Barrett did, that's in terms of its craftsmanship and its style and the language and just the flow of it, it was accurate in all respects. So you weren't stumbling upon grammatical problems or inconsistencies in capitalization and all those kinds of things. I don't anticipate we're going to see those issues.
Yeah, I guess
in
until we see the
document.
chapters, right? And so why don't we just plan on getting the chapters as soon as we can? If 3/21's the date, we'll come back, we'll use the grid as discussed. Start with that. If we have agenda with that, we'll come back together and figure out another approach.
Yeah, it's just the quality was so bad last time on
Yeah.
so many different levels. And I'm hoping for a whole lot better. And if it gets down to that, Ted's point on tediousness is I mean, to try and,
Yeah.
the last time, we would have all died of old age before we got the thing done, and we almost did, so.
It is certainly our hope that it will go that way, and you will have no comments and you'll say it's perfect, but it never works out like that. If you do notice, if you do in this review process notice like a stray grammatical error, you can pop that in, just like, line 5, that should have been capitalized. You can just put that in the line, but right, the goal is to not have that many. The goal is to focus on substance. If we've done our job well, that will be the case. So
does everyone feel like, or would you say it's pretty straightforward, the instructions on how to do it, or do we need like a Zoom call once we get it and we're trying to use it, that we're doing it correct? So what comes back to you is what's as expected.
I hope it's not complicated. In fact, even what I just showed you flashed on the screen, I could probably take a couple columns out. At the end of the day, what's really important is where's the comment, what page, and if possible, what line, but at least the page. What the comment is, what needs to be changed, what's missing, what's inaccurate, and then just the space for our response. So we just can go down the line, find each one, locate it, figure out what went wrong, and fix it, and then report, what we did with each comment. So that, at the end of the day, that's what it is.
If I can add to that, if there's a piece of content that's wrong that you want to challenge, there's also a space for a source. And we would love to see that source, right? Because we want to make sure that we're all working under the same presumptions and the same sources. If we just haven't uncovered a document or, something is blatantly wrong, because of a new document, we'd love to be able to look at that source and then cite it appropriately.
I think the key thing here is if you can get somebody in your shop to proofread the thing, which clearly this was not done the last go-round, then at least we won't have to be worrying about typos and names of the town that the document was previously prepared for, things of this nature. I mean, it just went on and on and on. So if somebody could at least proofread, and all we're really looking for is factual matter, I think it'll be just a whole lot simpler.
I agree. I agree.
Okay, I can guarantee you this, someone will proofread the chapters, okay? That's a promise I'll make to you. If there's any mistakes remaining, I can't promise it'll be perfect, but I promise you we will proofread it. So just again, as a reminder, we are trying to get these documents to you, and I'll send along the, the comment form on the 21st.
And you can give us a readout maybe a week into it that, people have gone into it and just kind of give me a sense that it's being looked at. I don't want to show up on the 4th and find out nothing's been done. Will I have visibility into it, or would we need you to let us know that? It's a tight.
Let's see.
I think if the comment review matrix is a Google Doc, you will be able to see different people adding their comments.
Okay.
And so you'll be able to see that other people are also working through it.
That is how it was last time, and it was useful because, as Jack and Marnie were just stating, like, there were just things that were just typos or errors. And so as I was working my way through that matrix, like, if Emil had already said this isn't capitalized, I didn't need to put that in again because it had already been noted.
Okay. Yeah, we can do it that way and have the matrix on Google Docs. That seems perfectly good.
I'd like that. Thanks.
Okay, so the 2-week time frame. I want to try to get a definitive that's okay, or not.
How many chapters?
Oh, good question. Let's see. I have it up here. So they are.
Looking at my calendar.
Going into our drafts folder. Okay. We have, I will count them down. We have community services and facilities, cultural historic resources, housing, land use, natural resources, open space, and transportation. I think those are the only ones. So that's 7.
I'm expecting, just based on the prior master plan, that there's going to be considerable substance here. So I'm only thinking that it might take a few days longer. I think it's reasonable to give us that deadline, understanding that maybe a half week more might be necessary. Thinking about work requirements for myself in the next couple of weeks, so I would have adequate time to look at it.
Is there a benefit of pushing chapters out as they're completed, or maybe 3 at a whack, or instead of waiting till all 7 are done?
At this point, there's really no difference in that. They're all sort of at the same point. They'll all be ready, in week and a half's time. That wouldn't really make a difference.
Okay.
We've been working on them all concurrently. What some committees have done in other towns we've worked in is split the committee up by chapter, so each person is reading a couple. That's totally a preference for you guys. Some committees like to have everybody read every chapter, but it can be a way to save individual work to split the chapters up. I will leave that totally up to you, but that is something other committees have done.
I feel okay, personally, I feel okay about reading them. I just am a little concerned about the timeline, not significantly concerned, but a little bit concerned. And like everybody, will certainly endeavor to get it done on time, but I just worry if there's a lingering chapter to it, might be a few more days. So why don't you give us this timeline and then have the real timeline maybe 3 days after that or something?
Well, we want to give a realistic timeline. If you need a few more days, we can give a few more days.
Okay.
We want to have a timeline that, a deadline that people can actually meet. So let's see. So right now, my calendar open.
I like the assignment of individual chapters.
Yeah, I do too.
myself.
I do too. Everyone should read all the chapters.
Yeah, definitely.
Groups
Right.
of people.
Like, do we push the comments to 4/7 or something like that? Would that give everybody a few more days? That's the Friday of that same week,
That's Good Friday.
so the 6th then.
I mean, it doesn't mean that
Yeah.
couldn't be the
No, I get
deadline,
it.
but we couldn't have a meeting on that day, probably.
I just didn't know if there was, what's the 4th, a Tuesday? But, okay, so that's,
Yes.
I don't know if you can
Yeah.
add a few days there, Rosie, if that's what you're referencing. It's the comment piece, right?
And that's, I'm sorry, that actually is just a deadline to turn it back in. It's not a meeting. We don't have a meeting. So it could be the same.
Correct.
It'll be
Yep.
fine.
Bill, I do think individual responsibility for individual chapters is a good idea, assuming everybody's going to read them all and get a context. But I do like the idea of having responsibility for actually editing one chapter. And then somebody else would have to edit another chapter, and somebody else would be responsible for editing another chapter. And so, I mean, for example, I would love to edit the housing chapter, and be responsible for editing that particular chapter. And maybe that would sort of focus, I mean, somebody else may want that, that's okay too, but.
Well, right, but I was thinking
focus-
land
just a
use
focus,
as
yeah.
being, from the planning board, I'd be interested in land use and open space.
Do you have a list of the chapters we could put on the screen and just kind of have this discussion looking at the chapters?
Sure. Well, alternatively, what I could do is create a sign up for you. We can talk it out now, but ultimately we can have a sign up where each chapter is listed and the board members can put their names, under the, couple that they're most interested in, and we can make sure that we have a good, even spread of people covering each chapter. But I can bring up what they are. Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
alternatively, if
opposed to
people
splitting
are
them-
still convinced, like me, that they want to review all of the chapters and comment, then that's an option as well, right?
Oh yeah, you are free to comment on more than your share. More comments are not bad.
I was going to say, I'm not opposed to splitting them up, but I'm not comfortable with only one person editing a chapter. I feel like
Yeah, I know,
I'm okay with splitting it up, but I think, what, are there 10 of us? Is that how many there are?
something like that, yeah.
It seems like we should have at least 2 or 3 people eyes on each
It's your
one.
area of expertise and experience, too. Right?
But I guess, like, I think,
I don't want to be assigned something that I don't have familiarity with. right?
well, I kind of agree, and I kind of, like, in other words, Marnie, did you say land use, for example?
Right.
So, like, that makes sense to put Marnie on that. And I also think there is value on having someone read it who isn't an expert in land use. Like, I think it does make sense to put sort of the expert, but I wouldn't want only that person. I think there's value in, like, a sort of a naive
Yeah.
reader to read it and,
Person
you
in
know.
comments, I think,
Yeah.
is critical in something like this.
But if we have a chapter and everybody reads all the chapters, we're going to come back and have a discussion, all of us, with the changes, are we not? Isn't that the
Absolutely.
drill that we're talking about here?
I guess all I'm saying is that, like, if we're going to divide these up so that I'm not actually making comments or not required to make comments on all 7 of these, I still feel like it would be wise for me to be required to make comments on, let's say, 3 of them. Like, that, in other words, that way each one is having several people look at it, not just one.
Well, I think that would be at the meeting, at the end of when we discuss the whole thing, everybody would then,
Well, I think that's what we're talking about right now. Like, their proposal was that all 10 of us would review all 7 of these chapters. And then I heard a proposal, and maybe I didn't understand you, where you were saying, well, maybe each one only gets 1 person. And I'm sort of falling somewhere in between, where I'm saying I think that it makes sense, and we don't necessarily all need to do all 7, but I think we're going to need to all be more responsible for more than 1, because that will allow each chapter to be read in detail with comments by more than 1. That's an opinion. People might have different opinions, but that's my opinion.
I mean, what I plan to do, I mean, I will get a hard copy, and I'll make my notes on it, and then I'm gonna have to go back and fill out this sheet, this tedious sheet of Ted's. So, well, that's sort of what I'm planning, but when we then, everybody comes back, and we're gonna have that meeting when we all discuss all of the chapters, we will have read all the chapters, then I think everybody's eyes will be on it. That is kind of what I was.
But that would produce a lot more edits at the end as well, right? Because
Yeah.
then finally people are talking back on April 21st, once it's completed.
Right,
I kind of like the idea of everybody going through them all, doing it. Put the Google Doc up, put all the chapters there, and if you want to go deep on one, let's kind of put your name on there, and we'll see how that flows in. And we'll watch the spread, Patrick, and then maybe, we'll come back around and say, okay, yeah, people can just go light on, housing or whatever, or land use, because folks are going to do it. But I want to drill through all of them, but
No.
I see your value, though.
I think we all are going to look at all of them.
Okay.
How many pages roughly are we talking about here for the whole document?
Let's see. 7 times. It'll be over 100.
So we're all volunteering to read and comment over 100 pages?
Well, see, the problem before, too, is there were inconsistency between the charts, one to the other, within a given chapter. I mean, it was just, I'm assuming this is going to be better. I hope that
Oh,
is.
yeah.
I don't know enough about the chapters.
Yes.
I want to see them, and then really, it's going to, get me excited once I see it,
So there are some photos,
Saying, okay,
there are
these
maps,
are
there are graphs, so, I mean,
Why don't-
those pages are included. I don't want you to think that there's just 115 pages of hard
Hard
text.
text.
Right.
Right.
Diagrams, charts,
Why don't we the
pictures.
document and have a quick Zoom and just have a discussion of how we feel about it and who really wants to deep dive on something, and then move on from there and then do our comment. We're sort of talking without seeing the document.
That's it. We're speculating now, and
Right,
based on
but,
past
a
experience,
quick
which is...
Zoom meeting that, once the document's issued, we can then just have a discussion like we're having now and understand what we're looking at. And then understand the effort that's gonna take to read the comments.
Yeah, so a meeting, I
That's
don't
good.
have a calendar in front of me, around March 22nd or thereabouts, we can all skim through the chapters and then make an assessment after that.
That's good.
Maybe we'll skim through the chapters and we won't have any comments at all.
Inshallah.
I'd honestly be a little worried if you didn't, but I mean. But that's fine with us. However you want to decide to chop it up, we can facilitate how you want to approach it.
Even a chat.
Well, create a doc that we can go in and everyone can put their top 3 on there, and let's see how that pans out. And then
Yeah, we can
come back
absolutely
on
do that.
Probably on the 23rd, if
I
we
think
feel
that makes
necessary. I'll work with
sense.
Patrick.
Let's just give it a try, give it a look, and see what happens.
Is that fair, or? Tyler?
Yeah,
Carol?
yeah, we've done a similar sign-up system in the past,
Okay.
where everyone puts down their preferences, and then we can edit it a little to make sure everything's covered. But hopefully, in an ideal world, your preferences line up so that everyone gets to review, mostly, if not all, chapters they're very interested and passionate about. So yes, that sounds great.
Just remember, brevity is the soul of wit.
Yes, we're not trying to create like a gigantic, dense document, but just a master plan by its nature. Even the pages add up with 7 chapters, even if it's only 10 pages each, that's still 70 pages. So these things can't help but get a little long. But yes, we're not trying to overload you with mountains and mountains of text. And hopefully you will agree once you see the document.
And the audience, the intended reader is John Q. Public, or?
Pretty much, yeah. That's the idea.
Brevity.
Yes. Okay, so I will provide you the documents probably later in the day on the 21st. Then the committee will, get together, talk it over, produce a final divvying up of the chapters, and then you'll have, let's call it 2.5 weeks to go through and provide us with your comments. Then our job will be to respond to all your comments and produce an updated draft based on them.
That's good. I like that timeline. I think it'll work.
Okay,
Sounds good.
excellent. All right, there's one more item.
One more thing
Carly?
to add. If you do end up meeting as an entire group, make sure that you post the meeting because you will most
Yes.
likely go over quorum. And just so folks are welcome to attend and that they know what's happening. Even if it's a Zoom call.
Good point.
So can we get a document somewhere where everyone on the committee can put their top three that they would like to comment on? So we, heading into getting the chapters, we got a sense on how that spreads out?
Yeah, I will set that up and send a link to you tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'll
Patrick,
just-
if we can circulate that around, maybe that comes back to the chapters and it all comes with it.
I just wanted to say about what Carly just said about if we're going to have that Zoom meeting, it does need to be a publicly posted meeting, and the shared Google Doc, everyone needs to, from an open meeting law, that there is a real open meeting law benefit to having that shared Google Doc be in the format that Tyler is talking about, because otherwise, if you were in a situation where you could reply to other people's comments, it becomes a deliberative document, right?
It does, that's a very good point.
And so in the line item which Tyler has proposed, like if I say, I think paragraph 2, is inaccurate, someone else might write a different comment, but they're not directly responding to my comment, which would be deliberative. Does that make sense? So I
It
think there is some
absolutely does.
benefit to having it, now that I'm thinking about that.
I think that make a good point, Dana.
Yeah, I think you're accurate too.
Yeah, the comments shall be addressed to the consultants.
What we likely can do, though, is expecting that on the 21st, maybe the 23rd, we'll put a placeholder on there for a Zoom, not a in-attendance thing. If we use it, we use it. If we don't, at least we have the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to have a date certain, and
Yeah.
then everybody can focus.
It's always easier to cancel a meeting than create one.
Exactly.
Wise. Okay, great. So one more item to discuss. So this is good. I'll fill in some new deadlines. These are not going to be quite it. So the final thing, the second community meeting. So we're trying to aim for early May, maybe more towards mid-May if we're pushing the comments out, because the point of this meeting, it's twofold. I pulled this little italic quote thing here right from our scope. So the two ideas behind this are, one, to share some substantive results from those initial existing conditions chapters, which is why we want to have this after we've had a chance to read your comments and edit them. And then the second point is to work collaboratively on developing the sort of vision statements that are going to be the final component of this phase of the project, if you will. So to that end, the scope this is scoped as a remote meeting. So that is in some ways very much easier logistically, although we have to do a lot of technical juggling on our end to make it go smoothly. But that's roughly 2 months out, so there's not a ton we need to do on it right now, but I want to get all of you thinking about potential dates and having it in the back of your mind as we go forward. Does anyone have any comments or discussion about this upcoming meeting?
So is that second meeting soliciting more information, or is it more of a readout of where we're at? I mean...
It's sort of a combo of both. So there will be a pretty substantial presentation of where we're at, actually, showing the public some of the materials that you'll be reviewing from our drafts. And then, we haven't designed the meeting yet. We just know that we want to, ultimately as part of this, we're calling it a vision plan. We don't have the ability to go super in depth on actions and policies in a full implementation schedule, but we're gonna craft vision statements for all of these, look at forward looking aspirational statements based on, the data within here. So we want to start, getting the public input on that and thinking about it.
Okay. And I don't know, Patrick, if we should be updating the select board at all prior to that or after that, or what their expectations are?
It's probably a good idea.
Okay. I mean, I did, Tyler, and per this board's recommendation, I did send out thank yous for the emails I got for those who did attend in February, and I told them to look to the website with the link,
Great.
for early spring meeting, so that's in line with that. Good stuff.
Yeah, okay. Not too much more to say about that community meeting now. Mid-May. Is it too early to start trying to pin down a date? I don't know. We do have an April committee meeting.
Are you anticipating being an evening event or a weekend or?
Good question. I mean, the turnout was decent at the first event, although this is different because it's going to be remote. So,
Should we talk
I don't
about that?
know.
Does everyone feel remote's the way to go, or should it be both, a physical meeting as well as online?
well, we're not scoped for a physical meeting.
Let's go.
So we'd have to.
It's not in your scope of work, per the contract, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I went back and checked because I wasn't sure whether it was a physical or a hybrid or what, and it is very explicit. The second one is a remote one, so that sort of is what it is.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Is there any
My
feedback on that?
benefit-
Does anyone think that's a disservice of it, or we should rescope, or is that off the table? Nothing's off the table, but
Well, I mean, if the committee feels very strongly about it, I mean, we can see what is possible. I can't make any promises or anything, but remote meetings have their own value. A different set of people, show up to those. You can do, things with the format and technology that you couldn't necessarily do in person. Both have their pros and cons.
gotcha.
So, I mean,
I'm just looking for feedback. I assumed it was, an actual meeting, but I'm not opposed to remote. I just wanted feedback, that's all.
I think one of the benefits is going to be that, to some extent, when we finish up with town meeting, we'll have a bit of a come to Jesus on where we are as a town, too. I think that's going to be a real benefit, and maybe that'll give some context to everybody's thinking about what next steps are.
Okay.
I think the possibility of getting more and different people engaged through a remote may be better than expecting to do a weekend day meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, particularly in May, sports are just, going crazy at that time because there's so much pent up.
Got a lot of competing things
whether-
going on.
I wonder whether, I think it's an opportunity to write something different than we did before. It's an opportunity to, I don't know. That's why I asked the question about whether it might, make sense to do an evening instead of a weekend day. We did a weekend day for the other. I don't know.
Well, we've got some time. We won't pick a date yet, but we've got a time frame. So we'll come back around. It's going to be remote as of now. That's what's scoped. And we'll go through the logistics as we get further down the road.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Kristen Kastner put a comment in the chat. Town meeting is April 1st. We should have a date set by then to advertise. And she thinks that if it's on Zoom, the evening would be good. So what we can do, if the committee wants time to think about it, I don't think we'll, meet with you again before April 1st, but, we can send out a couple of, tentative dates for your comment, and you can send them back to Patrick and communicate to us through that, try to avoid, deliberations on email, but I think
Scheduling deliberations are not,
can
they're
typically
okay.
be-
You can do that.
Yeah, scheduling is typically fine, so we can do that. Kristen, the warrant will print the week before.
Tyler, what would be the format in a remote? I mean, the advantage of the community reach out is you can get a lot of information, whereas with remote, it's one person at a time. And so I know you have experience with it, so I'm trying to understand how that really works if we get 70 people who are all online. How do you get all of their opinions and their feedback in a setting like this?
Well, there's a few different ways you can do it. We've experimented with a lot of different meeting setups. If we're really expecting, 70 people, a great thing to do would be to, go into small breakout rooms, sort of just like how we broke out into tables at the physical meeting, have small group discussions where everyone chips in and then return to the larger group and, present everyone's findings. There's opportunities to do polls and other sort of real-time written feedback too. And you can combine all these things for a ton of interactivity too. So there's also, we've done it where people stay in the large group and there's a lot of different formats you can experiment with, but does that answer your question?
Yeah, I've done meetings with the breakouts, and that's what I'm asking is the format is important so that the feedback and they feel like they're a part of it just as opposed to being talked to. Just important.
Yeah, absolutely. And this meeting will be a two-way street interactive. That is absolutely the case.
Okay, well, we have some logistics and timing. We'll circle back, Patrick, with the select board and town manager as well.
Logistics of a breakout if it's all Zoom.
But I think the message is here, we want something firm that we can advertise, during town meeting.
I've been on one, so
I don't think there's a readout at town meeting or an update or anything. Is there anything planned is there an ask?
If we want to give an update from the committee, we certainly could.
So, does anyone feel like we'll have
I think
a
just
format of an update, or is that premature? I mean, that's right, kind of in the middle of our...
Reminding the townspeople that we exist and that they can have a voice would be just, a 1-minute blurb, just to...
Yeah, I think somehow it's a narrative of what we're doing, and maybe there's a view of the chapters, something on the wall, and then we kind of say the date, come listen and give feedback on our readout. But, we're just doing our comments during that time period, so it might be premature, to give a readout other than, here's what's coming in May, and we'll have a date.
Yeah, let them know we
60
exist.
second,
Yep.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
All right. That's all from us, I think, right, Carly?
Yes.
I'm sorry to bring this up now. I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but I wanted to bring up that I attended the Hamilton Wenham Volunteer Fair at the Community House last month, and I sat with the Wenham Master Plan Committee Chair, and they have a great thing that they're doing, and they were not adverse to people borrowing it. It was called a meeting in a box. And it was very interesting, a concept wherein each individual member could opt to have small meetings at their home or at some other location. And there is a specific script of questions that the group would answer. And then those responses are recorded and then sent back to the consultant. So I don't know if that's something that would have any place, or is it too late, because it sounds like you're pretty organized with your plan.
Yeah, I think those are the meetings we're having this week, right? Where we've got Thursday or Wednesday and Friday, or Thursday and Friday, right? I think that's a great idea. I know we are meeting, Kristen, I see you've joined. We've got a meeting Monday with them. We'll talk about that meeting in a box, or kind of what's working for them. I'm not sure it fits into this time frame.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. That's definitely a tool we've used in the past. I don't know how it would, if it could nicely slot into the schedule we're having. I mean, you can think about it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. I just thought I would throw it out there as an option to get even more people to become involved in the process. But obviously, whatever the consensus thinks.
No, I think if, that would be before the chapters are done, right? The chapters are done in on the 21st, which is what, a couple weeks? I don't know how we do that.
Well, I think the chapters are more existing conditions. I was thinking about in terms of, say, if people couldn't make it to the future vision for Hamilton, and it was more convenient to have small meetings with a set criteria of criteria for information that we wanted to gather. So I'm thinking it might be something that would be useful later. But again, I'm not the planning expert here.
Who'd you meet with, Joanne? Is it Frisella or something like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
I'll take a look at that, see what that looks like, see if it's something we could throw. You're suggesting in parallel and let all that come in, even while we're doing our comments and feedback, and either it's a validation point or it's more information to edit back in.
Well, wouldn't the meetings be more about the visions for the town future as opposed to existing conditions?
Right, exactly. That's why I'm saying it might not be too late. And if somebody was not able to come to a solitary Zoom meeting for whatever reason and still wanted to participate, this might be a way to pull more people in. So, and actually Joanne told me that she said that the format for it is on their website, and she had no objections to perhaps looking at it and maybe modifying it to meet our needs.
So folks want to take a look at it on the website, I'll certainly will, and Kristen, Patrick, when we meet on Monday, we can talk about it with Joanne and company.
Yeah, actually, I just looked at my last email from Margaret Hoffman from Wenham. She had March the 20th at 2 p.m.
Oh, I'm
for
a week
our
off.
date.
Okay, that's right.
Wenham, yeah.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, I think I had a problem with this following Monday, actually, so. Okay, we'll take a look, Rosie.
Sure, great.
So, if everyone can maybe take a look and give some feedback, that'd be great. I get it more for the futuristic than the visioning piece than the existing condition. Okay. So is that everything from your end, Tyler, Carly?
Yes, it is.
That's correct.
Any other topics? I guess we know we're going to get the chapters. We'll post something, we can always cancel or change somewhere on the, 23rd, to a Zoom call with the committee to kind of review the chapters. In parallel, I think, Tyler, you're going to send out a grid of the chapters, and if everybody in parallel can just kind of put the top three that you want to drill deep on, we can kind of put that together and see how spread out that is, or if we're congested. But I guess the approach would be everybody's welcome and should look at all of them, but, let's rely on several people to really dig deep on three or so.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
The only thing I would say, and this wouldn't be something, I would just say, to me, we could use 10 minutes here to try to pick the dates and times.
For May?
Well, both for the hypothetical Zoom meeting on the 22nd and for May. I know there might be something that comes up afterwards that we discover those dates aren't good, but it seems like
Fair
we're
enough.
all here. I don't know whether other people are willing to do that. I don't know that.
So let's anchor on the 21st, end of day, we're receiving the document. Is 48 hours good to take a scan of them, to come back and talk somewhat intelligently on them, or is
After which
3 days?
we would receive it when?
The 21st,
March 21st.
March.
And then you're suggesting that the purpose of that meeting would be just for people to say, like, I'm ready to dig into the housing and the land use and the whatever, like.
Well,
Resources.
what I'd like to have for that meeting on the 23rd or so, I think that's a Thursday, is already people filled in their interest, right? So we'll have that document, we'll look at it, we may slide some people around if we're heavily weighted in certain chapters and we don't have enough on others, but we'll kind of lock down on who's gonna drill deep, again, everyone look at everything.
But the purpose of the meeting would be like just so that everybody leaves the meeting knowing like these are the 3 chapters I'm doing.
I got this.
We wouldn't be discussing like the chapters. Okay, so it seems like it would be a brief.
We may get this and go through it, and people say we don't need to meet, but it's a good touch point, I think. We'll throw it down for an hour and see what happens.
Right.
So the 23rd work for March for people?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
What time?
6:30?
And that would,
Sounds fine.
that would be Zoom. No need
Yes,
to meet in person.
Correct. So that'll be review chapters and assign committee members.
Assign, I like that, assign chapters.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we look, as we go in, so we've got April 1st, we're town meeting, right, and we want to put a paragraph or something together just to say, hey, we got a group, committees, we're looking at this, and kind of really just give a date, for the people to look forward to in the future. So in May, are we talking within the first 2 weeks, the middle of the month?
I think
Is there
Kristen.
a comfort level? I'll throw are we thinking a weekend?
I think Kristen was putting some dates in the chat. I don't know if
She's had the 7th and 10th, I think.
we can't see the chat anymore, but I thought it popped up.
So what is this? room think?
10th and 17th, she said. So those are Wednesdays.
17.
So she shows
10th.
midweek, that'd be a night then, right?
Yes.
What kind of
Wednesdays are
day is
usually-
that? Wednesday?
Wednesday.
That's a Wednesday. So the first is, do people think, weekday or a weekend? And to Patrick's point, weekends you start getting into spring sports.
Yeah.
But people are Zooming, it's a lot easier.
Weekday's fine.
I think
And you folks that
I like
work-
a Wednesday night.
I do too. I think that's good.
Wednesday, 7:30?
Yeah, evening, maybe especially to Ted's point about what time do you think parents are, 6:30, 7:30 better than 6:30 for bedtimes.
Dinner.
Yeah.
It's, 9 PM that
Right, no,
Free.
I remember.
maybe.
So I like the 10th or 17th. I guess it's a comfort level. We can figure out the time. But yeah, it's a good discussion.
Evening.
For parents, usually it can work as one or the other,
Right.
can join.
Yeah.
Well, for the announcement, we could just say it's, the 17th evening, and then we can lock in on the actual time.
Yeah.
So are we thinking, like, just for our own sake, 6:37-ish on the 10th or 17th?
The people who are working are the people who need to be dealt with here, because they're the ones who have to, if you've got families and you've got work, those are priorities. type stuff.
Kristen put in 7, and she is all of those things.
Got none of them, so.
I'm just saying, she typed in 7, I think,
Yep,
so
she did.
maybe that.
Hi guys, I still have 2 monitors going, so I'm not going to go on. Yeah, it's 7. 6:30 is too early. 7 is good. 7:30 you end too late, so it's. I think 7 is perfect.
7?
Yeah, I was leaning on 7 myself.
And I don't know. So I was thinking the warrant went out a week before. I'm kind of thinking, is it 2 weeks? It would be good if we could get the date. And the date in the warrant, as well as if we could make a QR code of the Zoom link or a Zoom register or something to print, because it's like one sentence on the back of the warrants, and it goes out to everybody.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Great idea. I don't.
Can we lock
Patrick,
down that quick?
Yeah, Patrick, do you know when the warrant is?
Usually a couple of weeks before town meeting.
Yeah, which means
Let's
like
keep
it's
that as a
like
goal
next
to,
week. So
Get that in the warrant.
That's soon.
Everyone puts it on their fridge and keeps it there.
Yeah, that's only a week away. Then we have to.
I know that I'm a little worried about the time frame and.
Yeah, but
It's something so soon.
But Kristen's right. All it would need to say is
Yeah.
one line, join us for a virtual community meeting for the Hamilton Master Planning. Here's the QR code.
right, but if you can put a QR code to register, then we can at least send people in. Then we know who already did that, and then we can send an email reminder if they registered. If that was something we could. Do we have who's running the Zoom? Is it Tyler and Carly, or is it Patrick?
We'll run the Zoom.
Yeah, I assume
Okay,
it would
so-
be yes. And we
But
have the
you can
capacity
send a
to do
Zoom,
that.
you can do a Zoom registration that we could put a QR code to, and then you could get emails, and then the week before, we can send it back out and say, hey, reminder, you registered.
You gotta do reminders.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but
that's
you
all
can't do
possible.
reminders if you don't ask them to register, so.
We can facilitate that, yes.
But yeah, all we need is the date, time, and QR code.
So are we thinking the 17th then, just to be safe, give ourselves that extra week at 7 PM?
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
need a
I
place,
think
it's a
that's
Zoom,
good.
so.
yeah, we don't need a location, and
Right?
On behalf
Date,
of Barrett
time.
Planning Group, that should work
Issue
for us.
a Zoom meeting link,
Correct.
and then you want to put a QR code to that Zoom.
yeah,
On the warrant.
you just, right.
A QR code to register so we can capture emails so we can remind people. Or Carly and Tyler can remind people that they registered.
Zoom sends an
about sending
auto-generated
the same thing
reminder
out?
on the day of. We can also set it to the day before. That
perfect.
sends them the link to join the meeting.
How about
Yeah, so
the week?
if someone can just
town
check with,
email?
Laurie in the town manager's
Yeah, well, I
office
got it.
when
Every month,
it's,
is it monthly or weekly or?
Chris, she's saying the same thing,
Same
is
thing.
what you're saying, yeah.
Yep.
because I know they just finalized it Monday and we're only at Wednesday, so.
Yeah, so just let us know when you need the materials by, and we will provide them.
Let's assume this week.
Okay. We'll get on it.
Well, if we decide, is it May 17th at 7?
Yeah,
Yep, I think that's
I
where
think
we're
so,
at.
we're there,
Okay.
yep.
enshrined.
I put it in my calendar.
Okay, anything else? We've got our.
I was at the selectmen's meeting on Monday, because we talked about it. They did talk about having the Gordon Seminary project do like a 5-minute presentation. And there was something else, I can't remember what it was, but I would agree that at least for visibility's sake, at least say 2 minutes that we still exist.
Yeah,
I think she's at town meeting, is that what she's saying, at town?
Yeah.
Yes, at town meeting, sorry,
town meeting,
on April 1st.
Yep.
I think we did that
may
last
just be a
time, so
slide
I think
that
it's a
even
good
the town
idea,
manager could
just
speak to.
as an acknowledgement that, as you say, Kristen, we're still there, so yes.
Does, I guess the question is only just, how do we get that done? Is that something, how do we make sure that we get on the,
I mean, I don't see it as a presentation. I don't think we're there yet. We still haven't seen a chapter, but I do think it's whoever's doing an update, if it's the town manager or the chair during their updates, maybe there's a one-pager somebody can put together, Tyler, or, and it's behind there, and it's kind of our charter and the date and the QR code on the wall and, you know, what's coming on May 17th. I don't know that it's anything more than that. I mean, I'm happy to get up if this committee feels like somebody from the committee should get up, but I think if it's incorporated into one of the update prezos, usually it's the town manager and the chair of the select board. I think they got a page behind them, talks about the charter, what we're accomplishing, and important dates.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, I think the chair of this committee, I mean, I think you should be up there, whether you're speaking or they're speaking, but just to acknowledge. And then what they said to Gordon, or it wasn't Gordon, it was the other thing, but just to have, you know, a half a page of information on what it is so you can talk less and refer to paper more.
Yeah, Patrick, let's
And I
get back
think,
to.
I think all we needed to do last time is just talk to the moderator about it, and it would be fine.
right, well, it sounds like we might not even need to do that, because if it's part of the town administrator's report,
Yeah, we'll take it back to Joe and
yeah.
Sean, and figure out the best way to do it.
it makes sense.
But Tyler, Carly, is there something you guys could put together that's a one-pager, that's informative, that would kind of, I don't know if you've done that in the past for, you know, if town meeting has happened during a process like this, a planning process? What we would put on there, is there a mission, is it a, you know, like Kristen said, you know, something on the wall that somebody can speak to?
Yeah, let's see. What would we have on there? I mean, just like
It's a slide, right?
I don't know, just like a
Yeah.
basic, like,
Yeah, maybe it's kind of, here's the mission, here's what's been done, we had a visioning back on February the 4th, or whatever, future dates to look towards, and, and someone hits on it, that's all.
yeah.
Is it possible to get a one-page?
I think it's probably a combination of things you've already created, so I don't think you. I think you did a good summary of the meeting that we just had, so maybe snippets from there.
Idea, find out.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a huge ask to put together just from materials we already have. We've summarized, what is a master plan, what is, Hamilton's master plan going to have in it, a few times at this point. So.
Yeah, you have. We did it back in February, right? But I mean, I think if, whether it can get in the warrant, or whether it's just an appendix, or it's something on the wall, as part of a readout. I don't know what, we'll talk to Joe and see what Gordon's doing and kind of mirror that.
I know that the town website page for this committee is updated. It's more or less pulling information there.
Yep. I know Patrick, actually, while he's on there, David Wagner asked to not be on at this point. He hasn't attended, so we probably want to take him off and adjust the chair piece.
Okay. So it needs updating.
Yep.
Will do. I just texted the moderator, town manager, and Lori to let them know that we needed a little bit of help to prepare a QR code and permission to put it on the back of the warrant to send out.
Great.
But just to add to that, if we're going to get anything inserted in the warrant, why just do a link to a meeting? We could do a one-pager, refresh on the committee and its purpose and timeline and whatnot.
So, so that, you can definitely do a one-pager at town meeting, but it wouldn't be in the actual warrant
Right. I didn't
book.
think so, right.
Right, like, so like this,
Oh,
for
right, it'd be
example.
the
but
tables
you-
for
right,
handout
be at the
materials.
right, like the
Appendix
schools,
table.
for example, are gonna be, we're creating a one-pager so that, because there are articles on the warrant that relate to the schools, so it gives information, but that's like at the tables, or you can even, sometimes I think you can even put them maybe on the chairs, maybe that was just when we were outside.
There's usually a table.
There's usually a
Everybody
table.
goes back
Yeah.
to the table.
Yeah.
So, but in the warrant, you can just put a meeting announcement, you think?
I-
Maybe.
That's up, I mean, I think that's up to the town, but because it's,
Yeah.
the town is saying we want input, so I think we could. It's not, I don't know.
We'll take the action on those logistics. Tyler, if you could come up with a one-pager, and Carly, that'd be great, on your recommendation.
Yeah, so just in the chat, Kristen says QR code and date in the warrant, one pager on the table, which I think is what
Yeah,
you folks are sort of settling on.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't see the chat, right?
It pops up briefly, and then
Yeah.
and then you can't see it again.
Someone click.
Yeah, I've got it up here. I'm looking at it.
Okay.
And you guys are going to get the QR code. We don't need to, you guys are going to create the QR code when you do the, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we don't need to
Yeah.
worry about that. You'll just send it to us.
Yes, we know how to do that. And so we'll start preparing those materials. We'll try to have them ready to go for, whenever the deadline is. Great.
All right, anything else for the good of the order, or I'll take a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Do we need to roll call that, or
We
You
do.
do need to roll call.
Jack?
Aye.
Marnie Crouch, aye.
Dana Allaire, aye.
Bill Wilson
Jack Worth, aye.
Greg Keller, aye.
on the screen?
Kristen Kasner, aye. Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Was it?
Okay, it's adjourned at 7:50.
All right.
All right. Have a great night.